सख्युः प्रियः प्रियया अर्हसि देव सोढुम् तस्मात् प्रणमया प्रणिधाय कायं प्रसादये त्वाम् अहम् ईशम् इड्यम् पितेव पुत्रस्य सखेव सख्युः प्रियः प्रियया अर्हसि देव सोढुम् तस्मात् प्रणमया प्रणिधाय कायं प्रसादये त्वामहं निशम् इड्यम् पितेव पुत्रस्य सखेव सख्युः प्रियः प्रियाया अर्हसि देव सोढुम्. Word to word synonym, translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada की जय. Tasmat, therefore, pranmaya, after offering obeisances, pranidhaya, laying down, kayam, body, prasadaye, to beg mercy, tvam, unto you, aham, I, isam, unto the Supreme Lord, idyam, who is worshipable, pita, eva, like a father, putrasya, of a son, sakha eva, like a friend, sakyuhu, of a friend, priyaha, lover, priyaha, of the dearmost, arhasi, you should, deva, O my lord, sodhum, tolerate. Therefore, after offering obeisances, laying down body to beg mercy unto you, I, unto the Supreme Lord, who is worshipable, like a father of a son, like a friend of a friend, lover of the dearmost, you should, my Lord, tolerate. Translation: You are the Supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respects and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you, and bear with me as a friend, as a father with his son, or a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved. Purport: Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, as a master, etc. Krishna and Arjun are related in friendship. As the father tolerates, or the husband or master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here Arjuna continues his prayers, or is paying his obeisances to Krishna, and the Supreme Lord is worshipable for everyone because he is cause of all causes, and he is immeasurable in the three worlds, as Arjuna said in previous verse. And next point is that devotees have different relationships with Krishna. And as Srila Prabhupada are saying here, that Krishna tolerates our behavior. Not everyone realizes the relationship with Krishna, but still Krishna provides for everyone's maintenance and tolerates because he is Samadarsi. I remember the points from Guru Maharaj's class on Bhagavad Gita, second chapter on Karpanya Doso verse. And I was listening, and Maharaj referred to a bhajan by Surdas. Prabhu ji mere avgun chit na dharo, samdarsi Prabhu naam tiharo, चाहो तो पार करो. O Lord, please ignore my faults. You are known as impartial. and love everyone equally. If you wish, please bestow your mercy upon me. Maharaj saying that we are full of faults. As long as we have this material body, we sure to commit faults, because this body, you have four defects. So praying to the Lord, Prabhu ji, mere avagun chit na dharo. O Lord, please ignore my faults. Samadarasi Prabhu naam tiharo. Chaho to par karo. So you are known as impartial and love equally to everyone. If you wish, please bestow your mercy upon me. So Krishna is Samadarsi, impartial, but only devotees of the Lord realizes the relationship with the Lord. And thus, this kind of prayers they sing, and same Arjuna is saying here that please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you, and bear with me as a father with his son, or a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved. Another point I have realized that this quality of tolerance is Krishna's quality, and we should also develop this tolerance. Our guru, our seniors tolerate our behavior. This doesn't mean that we carry on behaving like the same, and we also tolerate the behavior of our dependents, and for our purification. And in preaching, you have to tolerate so many things and still carry on with the preaching activities. This is the quality of Krishna and his devotees. So I must tolerate now because somebody tolerated my behavior. So this quality is very important quality, tolerance. So that's the main points that I have realized from this verse about tolerance. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, Sanjay Prabhu, for your nice realization. Thank you, Amrish Prabhu. Thank you, Purnapanda Devi Dashi Mataji. Thank you, Krishna Samarpan Krishna Das, for giving us an opportunity to give our realization. We are Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 44, the universal form. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham isham idyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakhyu priya priya yarihasi devaso dhan. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer. You may respect and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you, and bear with me as a father with his son, or a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved. So my realization is that here in Arjuna feel very small in front of Krishna's. Krishna has shown his Virat Swarup, and Arjuna feel very small in front of Krishna's greatness, and he asks for his forgiveness for whatever he has done so far as a friend, because till that time he wasn't aware that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we devotee learn from this that when we understand that how Krishna is great, we should feel humble, and every time we should surrender to him as our loving guide and protector and father. Arjuna talks about the Krishna like father, friend, and beloved. So Krishna is not, if you see that Krishna is not far away from us, but the way we should, how we are surrendering to Krishna, and what way we are devoting, give our devotion, give our 100% to Krishna. And Arjuna even asked Krishna to forgive whatever the mistake he has done. So this teaches us that we also make mistakes while trying to serve Krishna or while in association with the devotees. So we should say sorry to whatever we have done. And Krishna is actually very kind, and he will forgive us if we are sincere in our devotional service. So like how our father forgives us, so Krishna he's our father, and he's our loving friend as well. But if we make mistakes and we are honest and try to improve, so Krishna will accept us. And few points like whatever this particular verse is that to me it stand out is that one should pray Krishna with a humble heart, and one should admit that our mistakes. Every time you ask forgiveness, Krishna, like a child asking forgiveness to his father when he done something wrong. Also, I had to learn that try to love Krishna like a close friend or someone like in a very, very dear. And always remember that Krishna is kind and love no matter what. And keep improving in our devotion in service to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 22, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on transcendental form to them, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So here the Krishna promises that to personally take care of his devotees, if someone surrenders to him and worship him with love, Krishna makes sure that have everything they need in life and protects what is important to them. This shows that Krishna acts like a loving parent who looks after the child. Also, actually, I come across with one of the Srila Prabhupada's lecture, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, verse 439. It's very short. I will just read and give my relation in the translation. Because of advancement in Krishna consciousness, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes expressed jubilation, and sometimes sang loudly. So Srila Prabhupada says in purport that these words further clarifies the comparison of a devotee to a child. It's given an example of when mother leaves her small child in his bed or cradle and goes away for attending some duties. But as soon as the child remembers that his mother is not there, she's gone away, and therefore he cries. But as soon as the mother comes back, returns to the child immediately laughs and becomes happy. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, being always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, sometimes felt separation, thinking that where is Krishna? So this is explained in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Nami. When an exalted devotee feels that Krishna is invisible, having gone away, he cries in separation. And sometimes when he sees that Krishna is returned for him, then he laughs, just as the example which we have given, that the child sometimes laughs upon seeing his mother. So these symptoms are called bhav. So these bhav are very important. So we have to develop this bhav, but it takes time. I mean, we have to chant continuously and surrender 100% and be in association with the devotees. Hare Krishna, this is my realization.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, Sanjeev Prabhu, and thank you, Sopan Prabhu, and thank you to Amrish Prabhu, Pundapada Devdasi Mataji, and Krishna Prabhu for keeping us in a straight line and doing the hard job of keeping us engaged, which is very difficult. This verse has given me realizations which may not make sense to you, and I try to make sense out of it. Tasmat paramya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam aham isamidyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyuhu priyaha priyaya harsideva sodhum. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus, I fall down to offer you my respects and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you and bear with me as a father with his son, or a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved. Which Prabhupada further clarifies in the purport. Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as son, one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, as a master, etc. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendship, as a father tolerates, or the husband or master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. So devotees very nicely describe their tolerance and praying to Krishna to tolerate and ignore mistakes done by us. So any relationship which grows is based on a tolerance. When a friend tolerates a friend, the friendship grows. Yeah, this is where very famous. I can sing a song also, but that's not important. That's a Bollywood song. So even for friendship to become stronger friendship, we need to devote time. Similarly, husband and wife. In modern world, if husband and wife maintain the relationship for 1 year, they probably last the relationship whole life, but maybe I'm wrong. But again, it's a tolerance. And I don't know why Prabhupada and Krishna are saying husband. Maybe husband has to be more tolerant. And same with the father. If father doesn't tolerate, the child will not grow. He will do mistakes. And this same thing Arjuna is saying here, that I may have done to you and bear with me. Yeah, so he's not sure. He's still saying I may have done the mistakes. Now, keeping this relation of Arjuna after looking at Krishna's general form and going through doing all the prayers and then saying different words glorifying Krishna. So what comes to my mind is the realization, that relation which Arjuna get into. And we're all practicing realization. We're all trying to apply this science of Krishna consciousness in our life in our own way. And everybody has got a mood, everybody has got a conditioning. And then we try to practice it. And so I was referring to Bhagavatam and go back to those devotees who are actually has set an example for people like me, that where do you actually look at that what is ultimate of this realization process, what actually we're trying to achieve. Okay, we all can give big lecture, we all can do preaching and blah blah blah, but when it comes to practicing this Krishna consciousness, that's where the real test is. So I took the example of Parikshit Maharaj, where he actually we all know about Parikshit Maharaj and his position. So very nicely in chapter 19 of Canto 1, it's a very nice verse. Ato vihaye mama amum chalokam vimarshitu heyataya purustat Krishnangari sevam adhimanyamana upavisat prayam amaratya nadyam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Parikshit sat down firmly on the banks of Ganges, Ma Ganga. to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization. Because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. So we all know this, nothing new. We all know this, at least, and we preach this also. Okay, this is ultimate. But in the purport, there's one line which Prabhupada write, which I've highlighted, which I would like to share just to bring my point. And yeah, so when he was assured of his death on a fixed date, he became more determined in transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna by complete fasting on the bank of the transcendental river Yamuna, which flows down by the capital of Hastinapur in the state, Delhi state. So in the translation of verse, Prabhupada says Ma Ganga, and it says Yamuna. So that's not important. The point is, when he was assured of his death on a fixed date. So why we are not serious? Because we are not assured of our fixed date. And that's why, and that once we know the date of that we are leaving this body on this date, our consciousness will completely change. Our problem is that we don't realize. We try to find ways, and I'm talking about myself. I'm trying desperately to come out of situation. So can I do this? I can do this. Even now my mind goes that way. And he became more determined in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna by complete fasting on the bank of transcendental river Yamuna. I stopped everything for 7 days. We all know that story. So that is realization of Parikshit Maharaj. And then we know what happened after that, and Bhagavatam was spoken in all the past times, and yeah, relevant instructions so that devotees and they can relate to this. So the point is that we all try to love Krishna, and that's our realization. And the ultimate of this loving to Krishna consciousness is not good. It's not a very good result. Means a pure devotee, like what happened to Christ, what happened to Prabhupada, what happened to many other devotees, what their situation. But one common point they had the innocence of a child. That's where I was coming, that this self-realization brings us innocence. We talk about this innocence, but when the question of innocence comes, we become smart. And then we start doing whatever. And that innocence, I mean to say, I'll give an example of a young child who is innocent in a modern world, no conditioning, nothing. He's fresh for everything. He's taking instruction, taking advices, taking whatever as he is given as he's growing up. That innocence. So if that self-realization process is not bringing that Krishna, that innocence, I think there's something wrong in the process I'm following. And the material world is like this, that innocence is the most difficult part to me. Means you just cannot be, innocence means stupidity. And this is where we have to apply this concept, we have to apply this knowledge. That's why we engage in devotional service, we do preaching, we do hard yard, we become big devotees, and that all those realizing the innocence, what Prabhupada had, what Maharaj had, what those pure devotees had, that innocence should manifest in that. If you are not realizing that, or if you're not progressing, I feel that actually we are not progressing and we're still struggling in this, and we are conditioned to do those things. So before I close my relation, even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, which I've referred in the past also, and which is telling that why I'm giving this Gita to you, why I'm giving this knowledge to you in a battlefield. And that verse is, we know this all, I've quoted this many times. So again, I probably sing, and with this I close my relation. Savevayam mayate adya yoga prokta puratanaha bhakto asime sakha cheti rahasyam haitat uttamam. Translation: that very ancient science of the relationship with Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So we are all realizing this point only. This is where we are all struggling at different level. Not struggling, maybe I'm struggling, you all are not. Yeah. So that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by you, told by me to you. Supreme science of relationship, ultimate. That is Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is not about Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or, yeah, that we can talk about Bhagavad Gita. But that Bhagavad Gita get us to get becoming innocent by realizing, and then what happens and why people like me struggle. Prabhupada writes a couple of lines which I read in the purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. So I am demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his becoming a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. That's the point to ponder, that mysterious science. It cannot be understood superficially. It just cannot be understood. That's my lesson. And that's where I'm struggling. And Arjuna has given example, Krishna has given lectures, but in spite of trying to make it happen, I feel that I'm still not getting there. So that's what I realized. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, His Grace Sandesh Prabhu, Hare Grace Pramita Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samarthan Krishna Prabhu for training us and giving us opportunity to share our realization on Bhagavad Gita verses. And thank you, Sanjay Prabhu, Sopan Prabhu, and Avinash Prabhu for your very nice realizations. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadayetam aham esha idam Piteva putrasya sakheva sakyu priyaha priyaharhasi deva shodam. Every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. Impertinence of a friend or a husband, the familiarity his wife. Please tolerate the wrongs I may have done to you. So here, Arjun he's praying to Krishna. So his continuation by all the living entities. And that's why his offering is falling down, and offering his Dandvat Pranam to Sri Krishna. They realize that or his representative. He's falling down, all his limbs on the floor with his head, his body, and with his mind and his words. He's actually praying and begging for the mercy. So this is etiquette, we have to learn. And the next point here is saying that as a father tolerates impudence of his son, or friend, he's tolerating his friend, or husband is tolerating his wife or his family. So here is actually the quality of tolerance is discussed, and it's a very important one, as other devotees have already shared the realization on that point. Even actually Krishna, when he actually described or defined knowledge, so tolerance was also one of the important part of that. So being tolerant on a devotional path is very, very important. And Arjun is giving example here while begging the mercy. He's giving the example of how father is tolerating his son. So we have all experienced that as being a father is also a responsible position. Or being a husband is also a responsible position. So whenever we are in any responsible position, then one has to be very tolerant. and one has to tolerate. As our father has tolerated our mistakes, we have to also tolerate the mistakes of our son. So same, actually, even the guru, spiritual master, also tolerating the mistakes of all his disciples. So what I have learned, as it is also actually discussed, that one has to be tolerant, on this devotional path. Even actually, as we know that if someone makes a mistake, but if he's actually come back and apologize, he's sorry for his mistake, and he actually asking or begging for your mercy, then obviously one has to forgive. So you had to also forgive. As Sanjay Prabhu also mentioned on the actually preaching business, we have to tolerate a lot of things, because we actually all our offenses and mistakes has been tolerated by someone. So in our cases, Amrish Prabhu has tolerated quite a lot, the mistakes that we do. So when we preach, we have to also tolerate. One has to become very, very patient, because preaching in this actually material world in Kali Yuga is very, very difficult, because people don't listen, they do not follow. So we see this, and actually I'm also the victim of the same thing. So that one point actually came to my mind, and when we actually look at the broader aspect of this instruction, the Krishna is tolerating everyone, all the living entities, the moving, non-moving. So for us, actually, as being a part and parcel, we may have taken millions and millions of births. We have actually assumed various different bodies, and we're completely ignoring Krishna. We have actually turned our face away from him, but still Krishna, he chooses to remain in our heart as a Paramatma. So there is no one more tolerant than Krishna. And even actually we born in a body of a worm, still actually do not leave us alone. So that's why we also call Krishna as the eternal friend. So it's so merciful, so tolerant, that we cannot even imagine or cannot conceive how tolerant a Krishna can be. So as we are also part and parcel, we should also have that actually quality in a very minute quantity, but we should have it, and we have actually received that quality from Krishna only, because everything actually manifests from Krishna. So as it is said, actually I was meditating on that point, that as a spirit soul, our actually the first business is to serve Krishna. It is called our actually dharma, swadharma. As in Srimad Bhagavatam, Savay Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yathor Bhakti Radokshaji. So our actually highest occupational duty is to actually render a service unto the transcendental Lord. And as I just said, that actually for many, many lifetimes, even we don't know who Krishna is, we have completely ignored him. Even somebody tried to preach us, we do not want to listen. So that is actually the greatest offense we have been committing. So after committing so many offenses for many, many lifetimes, now with the mercy of Krishna and the Guru, we are actually try to follow this path. And when we approach Krishna, he's still again merciful. He's not holding any grudge. Even after committing so many offenses, he's so merciful. That's why we have been taught that if you take one step towards Krishna, he take 1,000 steps towards us. And we have practically experienced this. So this is actually position of a Krishna. So actually I was meditating on this point, that I must actually understood this actually point very well, because tolerance for me actually is very hard. Actually I'm quite impatient. I get angry very easily. So I have to actually there is a big improvement have to be made. Actually have to be tolerant towards all the living entities. So that one point actually actually I meditated from this verse. And also there's another point, that yes, so Krishna is also reciprocating to each of his devotees differently. So here, friend to friend. So one may have the actually a friendship with the Krishna. One may actually worship Krishna as his master. So in whatever relationship, actually one is actually worshipping Krishna. In that relationship, in that bhav, he's reciprocating. So there is always a reciprocation. When we render a service to Krishna, And when we render a service through our parampara, then we can see that reciprocation. Actually, we can get the realization. So for me, it's just not even a start, but I can actually understand this point looking at the great devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev. There's so many devotees, they're examples. So these are the points I realized while meditating on this verse. I also couldn't able to share my realization of previous verse. Last time I prepared, but I wasn't able to speak. So I want to actually share that one as well. Pitasi lokasya characharasya tvam asya pujasya guru gariya no tat samo asti abhyadikah kutodnyo lokatrayeti apritim prabhava. Prabhupada ki jai. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are his worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds? O Lord of immeasurable power. So, Srila Prabhupada has given us quite a big purport on this one, and there are many, many points to be realized. So, actually, I try to meditate on most of them, but actually, I will try to just cover a couple of points here. So, the first point here is say that he is the father of complete cosmic manifestation. So, everything emanates from Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhu. So, we know this point. And as it says that Aham Bija Pradapita is a seed giving father. So all the living entities that we see, including us, we are actually manifested from Krishna only. And that's why he's a worshipable chief. And he's also called a supreme spiritual master because all the knowledge coming from Krishna. Vedesha sarver aham eva vedo, vedanta kridveda videyeva chaham. So I remember this instruction from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 15. So it is said that actually all the Vedas are actually compiled by Krishna only, as a Vasudev. And by studying these Vedas, only Krishna is to be known. And Krishna also, he's a knower of the Vedas. So all the Vedic knowledge is coming from Krishna. So he's the first spiritual master. And he's actually here, he's also, Srila Prabhupada mentioned in purport that he's also instructing Bhagavad Gita now to the Arjuna as well. So Bhagavad Gita is actually spoken by Krishna, it's coming directly from him to the Arjuna. So where in this actually parampara disciplic succession, we get the same knowledge. So, and it is said that actually that no one can actually a representative of Krishna, unless he's actually following the instruction of Krishna, same person. And he has to be very transparent, transparent via medium. That is actually definition of a spiritual master. One should not actually contaminate the instruction, try to actually speculate and try to put something from his own mind. We have to actually speak the same instruction that we receive from a spiritual master. So that is one of the actually quality of a real spiritual master, that if he's actually repeating the same instruction that he received from his predecessor. So that is another point. And I remember also Sanjay Prabhu raised this point last time I heard his realization that there are so many cheating gurus nowadays in this Kali Yuga. So one has to be very, very careful. One has to observe. Even Srila Prabhupada says that actually one has to actually spend time with his spiritual master, and then he can surrender. So he has to be very, very sure. One should not surrender in ignorance. He must be convinced that he is actually real spiritual master, or he's actually not cheating us. And once that is convinced, then he can actually surrender. There are many other points, and also another important point is there is no one greater than Krishna. So we all know this because we have heard this instruction many, many times. And there are many, many actually past times that proves that actually there is no one or equal to the actually Krishna. No one can surpass actually Krishna in any of the opulences. So that's why it's called Bhagwan, because he has all the 6 opulences. So there is no chance that anyone in this 3 world can able to actually uh, go above Krishna. Even this 3 worlds is actually also manifesting from him only. So that is another point. So yeah, there are many other points, but actually, yeah, I will conclude my realization with this. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your always nectarian realizations, as usual. So we're doing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 44. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadayetum aham samidhyam iteva putrasya sakheva sakhyu priya priya harsideva sodam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respects and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I may have done to you, and bear with me as a father with his son, or a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved. So, of course, the word that strikes in the whole purport is tolerance. But for me, the word that actually really struck was Krishna tolerates. And the immediate thought that comes to your mind is that actually Krishna doesn't need to tolerate. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's in a position where he does not need to tolerate, and still he tolerates. So we are all forced by circumstances or situations to tolerate. So there is tolerance by force, and then there is voluntary tolerance. And here you can see Krishna, by his example, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, when appeared, has shown all the qualities just so that we can follow those qualities. And he doesn't have to do that. And I was thinking how merciful and how great is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And it also pains me to read that Krishna tolerates. That Krishna tolerates because as a living entity, I'm behaving in such a manner that Krishna has to tolerate. And so how do I come to this position where Krishna should not tolerate? How should my behavior be? How should I change my behavior so Krishna doesn't have to tolerate? And because Krishna is tolerating, so many other living entities are also tolerating. So when tolerance comes, we always think that we are tolerating. But today I'm thinking that actually everyone else is tolerating. You know? And Srila Prabhupada gives a lot of examples of Jesus Christ, who tolerated when he was being crucified, and he was praying at that time that please, oh Lord, please forgive these people. They do not know what they are doing. Krishna has given his example how he tolerated Shishupal, who was always ready to inflict insults upon Krishna whenever he had the opportunity. And Krishna tolerated him and also gave him the benediction of killing him. So from tolerance also then arises forgiveness. So Krishna is forgiven in his greatness. So by tolerating, also forgiveness comes. Why does someone have to tolerate is my question. I was thinking about that, and this is because we take people for granted. We get familiar, as familiarity breeds contempt. So if I want to develop this quality of tolerance, then there are so many things that I have to do personally. I was thinking. Srila Prabhupada also gives a very nice example of how we tolerate when we are, when we fall sick. We know that it is temporary, and the doctor is treating us or whatever, and then we sometimes take the medication which is not very palatable, and because we know it's temporary and we know that we can come out of that situation. So with respect to that, Srila Prabhupada has been quoted to say that we have to learn tolerance. Despite all disturbances, we have to execute Krishna consciousness. That is determination, Dhrida Vrita. Dhrida Vrita means that I'm not going to be perturbed by all this, by all these disturbances. I must execute. This is called Dhrida Vrita, firmly determined. And it's very motivating to myself that when it is big, when situations become such that you cannot tolerate, then we have to look at the higher purpose. Because if we don't tolerate, then we get stuck in the situation. And then out of that, out of intolerance, there are so many other things that follow. There is more disturbance and no resolution. So, however, if we tolerate, then we can navigate that time as a temporary time, because Krishna does say that you have to tolerate the onslaughts of the cold and the heat, and you have to navigate your way through it. So similarly, we have to tolerate also in the interest of the higher purpose of us achieving the love of Godhead, achieving Krishna Prem. And how do we tolerate? So for that also, the process is given by Srila Prabhupada that you have to chant. Chanting there is no other way. And you have to do your devotional service. That will help you to tolerate. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshastakam says, Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahisnana, Amanina Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari. And that instruction is given there. So how do we be tolerant? Tolerant. The example of a tree is given as the most tolerant. Just a few pearls of Srila Gurudev, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj on tolerance that I would like to quote here. Tolerance means I totally do not agree with what you say, but you have the right to disagree with me. And I will fight to protect your right to disagree with me. In that fight to protect your right to disagree, I tolerate. This is really so beautiful. Tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. Tolerance is important. Don't curse any situation. Don't destroy smiles. If the attitude is good, then health is also good. If we don't want anybody to be morose with us, then we should not be morose with anybody. We have to cultivate good character and quality. This is very interesting. Tolerate the prosperity of others. We are never able to tolerate the prosperity of others because we are always in the bodily level. These tendencies are inherent and deep-rooted because we have inherited them. We may claim that it has been removed, but actually it is there within us. Being innocent like the child is the best because the child is always happy with his parents. The child doesn't leave them even if he sees somebody else is more prosperous, whereas we have left our Supreme Father, Krishna. This is the cause of all our distresses. This is so beautiful because it's an eye-opener that, the child doesn't leave the parents. I think Avinash Krishna Prabhu was also mentioning about innocence, and this point of innocence comes related to tolerance in terms of how the child doesn't leave the parents even if somebody else is more prosperous. And this is Srila Gurudev explaining how to practically implement the Shastras. And the clear line that we have left our Supreme Father Krishna, and that is why the cause of all the distresses. So with that, I would like to end my realization. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, dear devotees, for wonderful realizations. Sanjeev Babu, it was very nice. You gave very practical point, quoting Guru Maharaj and finding the solution. All the best to all of you. Very
Thank you,
nice. Hare Krishna. Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Ki Jai. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय. Word to word synonyms, translations and purport by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaur Chandra Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Babaji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Thank
Hare
you.
Ram,
Thank you,
Ram Ram.
Babaji. Hare Krishna.